Hello, travelers. I'm Chris. Welcome to Lore Spire, to our second question and answer section. All right. I'm just doing this to
Hello,
try to help
travelers.
anybody
I'm
out who
Chris.
has.
Welcome to Lore Spire, to our second
Oh,
question
got a bit
and
of
answer
echo
section.
there. All right. One moment. I gotta fix that echo real quick. All right. Sorry about that. Anyways, I'm just here to answer questions for anybody that might be having some. About the game. I haven't been able to put out that many videos yet because I've been trying to get all the way through so that I can, get out the information that most people are probably looking for right now. But I thought doing this would be a cool way for everybody to come in and be able to ask what you might have questions about right now actively instead of having to wait for me to put out a video on it in a week or two or three or whatever. Hey 3D, good to see you again. Glad you showed back up. So yeah, just while we're doing this question and answer session, I'm going to continue from the playthrough that I started last night. Just a casual kind of playthrough thing for people to watch. Really, while I'm answering questions, I'm not very good at actively playing. Hopefully, I'll get better at that. But anyways, yeah, let's go ahead. All right, we got our first question here from 3D. So a sorcerer can cast more often than wizards. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, their casting actions take the same amount of time in a turn. I mean, depending on what spell you're using, it might be a full round action or a standard action or whatever. Um, so I'm not sure what exactly you're asking there, 3D. Sorcerers, they're spontaneous casters, so they don't have to um, choose their spells each day. They always have access to the full list, and then they can cast any number of spells off of that list.
I found
All right.
something.
I'm not actually sure. I would have to go into character creation and compare them. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I know that a wizard actually has a faster spell progression, so I would think that they have more spell slots for each day, but I've not specifically compared them. Um, Seems like you're the only one who's really here right now, so I mean, um, that has any questions. So if you want, I could hop out to the creation screen real quick and we could check on it.
I hope you appreciate this.
Because actually, if you look, I wish I was at the actually, I'm going to go ahead and go to the character creation screen real quick. Go ahead and save this. Save. And that way I can show you where you can look, on the character cards in the, or the class cards in the character creation screen. You can actually see what classes gain what spells and at what time. So let's just look at that real quick so I can answer your question. Oop. There we go. Custom character, of course. Okay, so if we just go to Sorcerer, you pull it up, and you pull out the class card. And if you look, oh, here. Yeah. This right here shows your spell progression. So like you gain access to level 1 spells as a sorcerer at level 1, of course. And then level 2 spells at level 4. And it'll tell you all of these spells that you gain access to at these different levels. Okay, and if you look at this number here, this is actually telling you the number of spells that you have of that level. So whenever you're level 6, you'll have 6 level 1 spells, 5 level 2 spells, and 3 level 3 spells as a sorcerer. Okay, and then if we go to Wizard, so we can keep that up, I believe that'll stay up. We can go down here to Wizard, and we can look at theirs. So at level 6, I don't think I can have them both up at the same time, but 6, 5, and 3 for the sorcerer. And at level 6, the wizard actually has 3, 3, and 2. Actually, I'm sorry, that's not your spell slots, is it? That's your number of spells learned. The number above that should be the spell slots that you're gaining each turn. I described that incorrectly. Or each level. Yeah, so right here the wizard's gaining 2 spells at 2 level 1 spells at that level and 1 level 2 spell, I think. No, that's not right. Okay, well, it does look like the wizard, or the, of course, the sorcerer gains more spells. I'm not sure about the spell slots. I thought that this described it, but apparently not in the way that I believed. But I'll tell you what, 3D, I'll go ahead and I'll look that up for you. And I'm planning on being back here at 7:30 tomorrow night. And so whenever I'm back here tomorrow night at 7:30, I'll definitely have an answer on that for you. If nothing else, I'll start 2 different characters and compare them. Alright, so sorry about that. I thought that it showed it right here, but I'm not sure how exactly that information is being presented. Well, actually, if you combine the spell books, then you won't have a Lich spell book. You'll just get the bonus spells, the unique spells from the Lich will be added to your Sorcerer spell book. So your Sorcerer spell book will still use Charisma, so if the spell books are combined, the spells that you gain from your Lich Mythic Path will be charisma based because they're added to your sorcerer's spellbook, which is based on charisma. But if you keep them separate, the spellbook separate, then yes, that wouldn't be a good combination, sorcerer and lich, if you want to keep the spellbook separate. At least Elemental Ray Cold works now. In the beta, every time you would cast it, you would damage yourself with it, not the enemy. And it really does seem like they have fixed most of the bugs, at least that I recall. Although once you hit Act 3, because I hit Act 3 last night, and I would say maybe 5% of the time that I go to a loading screen now, the game crashes. So that kind of sucks. Hopefully they'll get out a patch to fix those crashes, but just, you know, be sure to save often. I didn't have a problem with it before Act 3, but once you get to Act 3, I would definitely save very often.
Rely on me. They will break against our resolve. I'm done with
Hey, Icarus, that's a good question. And I haven't gotten to the end of the game yet. In the beta, you could not transform into a Lich. You could take the Lich Mythic Path, but you didn't actually become a Lich. From what I've read from people who got early release copies of the game, so they were able to start playing like 9 days ago. So of course they've already finished the game. From what I've heard from them, once you reach Mythic level 10, you will actually transform into a Lich if that's your chosen path, and you've completed all of the quests for the Lich path. You know, you haven't skipped or failed any of them. And at that time, you will actually transform into a Lich, and I would imagine that at that time you would switch your your HP from being based on Constitution to Charisma, so you would probably want to respec. At least that's what my plan is on my Lich playthrough whenever that happens, because you can't just go without Charisma until you become a Lich. Otherwise, you're gonna die too much while you're playing. Hey, yeah, Random. That's what I've heard as well. They were not in the beta, so I couldn't show them in the Mythic Path videos that I was making then. And I never actually heard anything official from Owlcat then, so I wasn't sure if the transformations were going to happen or not. But since people that got early access, you know, review copies of the game, where they were able to actually get the Mythic rank 10, they have said that you do transform if your alignment is correct and if you have finished all of the quests for the Mythic path. You know, you didn't skip or fail any, and you've got the correct alignment. So yeah,
hope you appreciate this.
okay, 3D, that's cool. You know, thanks for dropping in, and we'll see you in a little bit if you make it back. So anyways, I know a lot of people have had questions about if alignment matters or not, and it seems that alignment does. It does not stop you from actually starting on a Mythic path, choosing it, you know, gaining Mythic ranks in it. But it seems that once you reach the point of gaining your transformation at Mythic rank 10, if your alignment is incorrect, you will not gain your transformation. Or at least that's what other creators who had review copies of the game have said. Hey, that's cool, Icarus. Yeah, I'm not a pro builder either. I mean, I know that there are a lot of viewers that actually, you know a lot more about building specific characters and the actual mechanics of how it all works. You know, I know a decent amount, I feel like, but I'm definitely not a pro at that. There are people that are a lot more knowledgeable than me. But I mean, that does sound like a pretty good Lich build to me. For my Death Knight Lich, I'm planning to play a Stillblood Blood Rager, just because I like the undead bloodline and how that fits in from a role-playing perspective. I also already have like a whole backstory and everything made on it. written up, and so that will probably be one of the first builds that I release for this game, since I already have the backstory and everything on it. And I don't know, I think it shows promise, and we'll see. If it turns out to be terrible, then you probably won't see a build on it, but I think it's going to be pretty good. And yes, you can see right here that you can camp and sleep even when you're underwater. Yeah, not being able to respec would definitely be harsh in this game. You know, it's so long, and yeah, it's so easy to make a mistake or just do something because you want to test it to see if it'll work, and then if you can't respec, you're stuck with it like that. Yeah, especially with me trying to make videos, if I couldn't respec, like every video would take like 100 hours to make, or at least every build video would. It would be ridiculous. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but you do have to get the note off of this Hand of Hosilla character that you kill in here. Otherwise, you will not have the hidden door revealed later on in the in this dungeon, the Shield Maze dungeon. Just in case you weren't aware of that. I imagine all of you are probably past this, but you know, just in case. Hey, random. As far as your Dragon Disciple question, I've not actually played that one since Kingmaker, and I don't remember exactly how it works. I mean, typically the prestige classes will let you continue gaining spells in whatever class you need to take them. I want to say I did play a Dragon Disciple like Magus, but that's different from a sorcerer. I would have to read the actual ability. Let me see if I can just pull it up here real quick to read. That way I'm not having to restart the entire game and go back to the menu screen again. Um, okay, so I'm reading the ability here, or the, I guess, Dragon Disciple. Um, and they have information on the spells per day, but I would imagine that the answer is yes. You know, but actually the website that I was looking on does not have the full information for the prestige class. So let's go back to the main menu again so that I can try to make sure that I answer this correctly for you. I don't want to just say probably, maybe. Let's actually look at it so that I can, you know, give you a more helpful answer, because I realized that that probably wasn't very helpful at all. Yeah, what's the deal with the Eclipse Chill 3D? Okay, so yes. All right. Now that I can look at the character card here, random. Sorry, I guess I went silent for a little while there. But yes, you will gain the spells that you need at each spell level. Okay, so I mean the way that it actually works is whenever you choose the class, you can choose, or whenever you choose the prestige class, you can choose one class that's provided you with arcane spells, and for that class, whenever you level up, you'll gain spells as if you had leveled up with that class. Okay, and in this case, you can only or you cannot be an imperial sorcerer, sylvan sorcerer, or sage sorcerer, I guess, because of the bloodline restrictions. But yes, you should gain spells at each time you gain a level as if you had gained a level in your sorcerer class. Why, did you see something new about the swarm there, 3D? Or just thinking about it again like last night? Um, okay, 3D. For that, I'm sorry, I've not actually tested that, but from what I have seen, um, like whenever I played my my Blood Rager, I didn't actually take Eclipse Chill, but whenever I was making a video, I remember the definition for it not actually changing it whenever it was a choice for me to take. Um, so yeah, my Blood Rager wasn't intellect or intelligence based or anything, and of course I couldn't combine the spell books. So actually, yeah, never mind. The spell books weren't combined, so I guess maybe, but I don't have an actual answer. I don't know for sure about that. I would think that it stays intelligence, but I guess I can't say for sure. What's more viable than the way that the Dragon Disciple works, you mean? Because that's actually the way that most of the prestige classes work. Like if they're spell casting prestige classes, then they'll allow you to continue to gain spells, you know, in the same way that you would have if you had kept your base class only. You know, other things change, but not that part. All right, let's get back here. Hey there, Woolly Ram. Good to see you again. Glad to have you back. Just trying to answer some questions. We got a couple of people in here tonight that weren't here last night, and I'm not sure if I'm answering questions to their satisfaction, but I'm doing my best to do so. We did have a bit of an issue with the wizard sorcerer question at the beginning that I thought I could tell from looking at the character sheets in character creation screen, but it wasn't quite the way that I thought it was, so that was interesting.
Save the last one for
Hey,
me.
thanks, Randall. I appreciate the vote of confidence there.
This pain is excruciating.
Which 3 demon types do you mean? Like the like normal, fiendish, and mythic, or distorted, I mean? Okay, okay. Not that I've seen really. I'm not even sure how that is determined. I, yeah, I'm really not sure how that's determined, if they're magic, strength, or whatever. The only thing that I could never tell for sure if that was the determining factor, but I would kind of go off of what their stats were if I passed my lore check. And you can, look at their stats, and if strength is higher than their other stats, I would kind of assume that it was that. But I never actually saw anything in the description that, noted that, like, hey, this is a magic, this is a strength based. Oh, demons, daemons, and devils, yeah, those will be in their will usually either be, if it's not in their name, then it will show up if you pass your lore check or knowledge check to identify them. It will show up on their character card whenever you right click on them.
This one was beyond me. I am helpful, am I not?
Yeah, I thought it was really lame whenever I was a ranger, and it was like, okay, I can just, choose demons, and it's like, nope, there's a bunch of different types of demons. Oh, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I don't think that rangers really needed to be nerfed like that, or think hunters also, and there are other, at least, archetypes that use that. And yeah, it sucks. I don't think that was really necessary. I mean, go ahead and ask, and I'll see if I can, answer it without spoiling anything for anybody. Nobody read what 3D is about to say if you're worried about spoilers. This is one bug that's really annoying. Sometimes especially whenever you're in combat, you'll get the tooltip stuck up here and you can't really see anything. It usually just goes away on its own though after a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of good things about the Ranger. You know, even though you do have to, you know, select each type of demon, you know, individually, which is pretty lame. I think I went
I can.
with the demons and devils, you know, first, and just kind of left the demons for last. Even though the demons are kind of more common, I guess they're just not as much of a threat most of the time, in my opinion. Hey, Wally Ram, about the gold dragon, I'm sorry, I do not know the specific mechanics that it gets. I'm almost to Act 4 in my playthrough, you know, and so once I get through Act 4, I'll be able to hit Act 5, and I think Gold Dragon is going to be the first late game uh, mythic path that I take. So probably sometime late tomorrow, I'll be able to start on the Gold Dragon path, and that's probably going to be the first video that I release on what it can do and how it can do it. But I'm going to be back here again tomorrow night at 7:30, and if I've gained access to the Gold Dragon path before then, I can definitely give you an answer, you know, then tomorrow night before I make the video. I know that the Gold Dragon is, yeah, supposed to be like the ultimate good force for life. I don't know how that manifests in its mechanics though, but it's supposed to be like a redemption path, you know, and yeah, it's supposed to be kind of the opposite of the swarm that walks, or at least that's my understanding from everything that I've read and heard about it. You know, but yeah, those later game things like that, I'm not quite there yet. Give me a day or two and I should definitely have answers for those things too, that I can give you from my own firsthand experience and not from something that I've read or watched or whatever.
I hope you appreciate this.
We were just talking about with the Ranger. It's not really a nerf, I guess. It's just kind of something lame that they did. And you know, the Ranger can select like specific hated enemies that it gets bonuses against whenever it fights them, you know, attacks them. And instead of, you know, it just being like demons or evil outsiders or, you know, whatever, creatures from the abyss, you know, a broad general term like that, they added like specific classes and types of demons. You know, so you have to, if you want to do extra damage to all the different types of demons, or you have to choose the like different multiple hated enemy types, you know, so that doesn't leave you as many to choose other things. Hey 3D, yeah, that thing with Darren, that guy is really annoying, by the way. I do not like him.
To me.
But anyways,
Bright future awaits
yeah, that deal with him and what's going on with him, I don't actually know what it is. In the beta, I hated that guy, and I would not take him into my party.
Rely on me.
And I kind of wish now that I had, just so that I would know more about him. But I just finished that quest in Act 3 with Darren, and I've not got a definitive answer for it yet. But it does, I don't know, it's definitely something from another plane, I think. You know, but maybe, again, maybe that'll be something that I can answer more directly, you know, tomorrow. You know, so I guess no spoilers there for anybody because I don't know the answer. Yeah, Woolly Ram, I mean, I'm not sure if the uh I don't think that the gold dragon like ties into like having a bloodline or anything like that. I mean, I guess it's possible that it could do something special or different if you do have a dragon bloodline, but I don't think that it's tied into that specifically. Um, and I don't think that you actually turn into a gold dragon when you get its transformation, like all the time. I don't know for sure, but that just doesn't make sense to me for you to be like running around as a gold dragon all the time. I would think that it's more like something like what the Kitsune get, that you can toggle on or off, you know, to be either human or a dragon. You know, also other dragons in the game, like say Tyrindoliv, you know, they kind of work like that and they can polymorph back and forth at will. So I would imagine it's something like that.
What's on your mind? I wonder.
And this right here is the secret door. You had to get that letter from the hand of Hosilla. And yeah, just click on that little hand by the torch there after you get the letter. It's pretty hard to miss. And then this other hand of Hosilla here should give us the key. Oh, well, that's cool 3D. So what, you're like bipedal, like I guess like a bipedal dragon instead of like a quadruped or something. Like a, I would guess, bipedal that is, you know, at least close to the same size as a normal race. Okay, well, that makes sense. I mean, I had thought for sure that you would be able to turn into a full gold dragon, so you can toggle that on and off. But then you do also have a form that's actually transformed and changed. So yeah, that makes sense. I like that. I like that. Yeah, the pictures. We covered the pictures last night. I guess I could go back and show off the pictures again real quick, just in case there's anybody here watching that that wasn't here last night. It does look like maybe we have a few more viewers.
Am I not?
A large aggressive creature was kept in this cage. Judging by the bent bars, that creature is now loose. Yeah, actually, it looks like there was two of them. Alright, I'm just going to go back real quick and do as Woolly Ram suggested, in case there's anybody here that's not aware. Actually, I don't even need to go back. Whenever you're coming through here, this is the, I think, fourth room in the shield maze. You can see these paintings here, and that's actually where you get the answer for the Gemstone Puzzle that we're going to be coming up to a little bit later. You know, yellow, blue, red, yellow. Also, if you don't remember it, can't remember it, or, you know, whatever, I do have a video that shows you how to open that puzzle as well. And you'll get a sword in there. Be sure that you keep that sword and you talk to Jorn Vane when you're at Defender's Heart, and then you talk again to and then you take the sword with you when you assault Dresden, because you can get the sword upgraded that way. And take it with you again when you go to Ivory Sanctum, because in the Ivory Sanctum you can upgrade it a second time, and it actually gets really, really strong on that second upgrade. So yeah, be sure to, if nothing else, just stick it in your inventory, and you know, that way you don't have the opportunity to forget to take it to those places. Hey, Woolly Ram, I mean, I guess Blood Rager kind of makes sense. Since you get a bloodline, you could choose a draconic bloodline. You know, so that could be like a way to naturally explain why your character was drawn to that path over the other ones, because of their own dragon blood. I don't know. I mean, other classes, a druid maybe, because it seems like the gold dragon is more about. Druid might be more Azada. I guess maybe a cleric or something like that, since it's about life. I don't know. Once I actually get the chance to play it, hopefully coming up tomorrow, then I would have a better answer. But anything with a bloodline does seem to make sense to me, at least. Inventory, yeah. Yeah, Icarus, that's my understanding of it. Again, not quite got there. I'm getting close to that fifth act, to where I can test it out, but I'm not there yet. But yeah, from what I've read and heard from people that got an early release copy, is that you'll be given either a quest or a series of quests that basically it changes your mythic path to the new one. You lose the powers from your old one, and those series of quests will get you up to speed and get you up to the correct mythic rank. Oh, hey, Random, are you talking about the Gemstone Puzzle? Yeah, like I said, there's a video on the on the website, on my channel. You know, just search Shield Maze Gemstone Puzzle, and you can get the answer from that really quick and easy. Also, in, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna be doing answering that puzzle right here on this live stream. So you can see the answer here too. And as Wooly pointed out, and I kind of showed you earlier, you also have those pictures to refer to. Sorry, I'm a little behind on the comments here. I'm trying to go through them and play at the same time. Hey, Mohammed. I mean, really, I don't know. In my opinion, as far as the kukri or the dagger, I don't think that there's necessarily one that's better than the other. I will say you find a lot more daggers, so you'll have you'll be able to keep an up-to-date dagger more easily than a kukri, although the kukris are not exactly hard to find, so there's maybe not a huge difference between the two in that respect.
I am helpful, am I not?
But I think it's mostly just kind of personal preference, because for the most part, I'm pretty sure they do the same damage and have the same crit range and everything. I've not noticed them really differing from each other in that department. You may want to wait for Lore Spire's answer, THP. Did I miss T? I'm not even sure who THP is. Sorry if I missed a question there. Just ask it again. Wow, really, 3D? The devil keeps everything? I had not heard that. What I had heard is that they get a bunch of contracts that let you manipulate and control things. I had not heard what those contracts are, but maybe one or some of those contracts allow you to retain your mythic powers from your previous mythic path. Which the devil is the only one that actually requires you to have had a specific mythic path to access it. So I guess that would kind of make sense if it did allow you to do that. Because like the swarm, you can access that from any mythic path. You know, the gold dragon you can access from any mythic path. So it does kind of make sense, I guess, if the devil does have a way to allow you to keep that.
Save the last one for
But I was unaware of that. I didn't know that. Yeah, Icarus, there is a plethora of all weapon types. I mean, not all weapon types, but there are a huge number of weapon types that are supported. And the skeletal salesman, if you find him, he sells a lot of really good stuff. And some rarer, more exotic type equipment. So definitely take a look at his wares if you run into him. And you may be able to find, if you're using a more rare weapon, harder to find weapon, he may have something for you there.
It should work. Is it flawed?
Magnesium Turinos.
And also the vendors, once you get the Dresden, they have quite a few items there too. So even if you're using something that's a little more rare, you can probably find something in a shop that at least keeps you semi up to date, even if not on the cutting edge. Okay, so here's the Gemstone Puzzle, and this is how you solve it. It is, now I gotta see if I remember the colors. Yellow, red, blue, yellow, I believe. Nope, I got it wrong. Yellow, blue, red, yellow. There we go. Then the door will pop open. And it's actually confusing. I remember the first time I was trying to complete this puzzle, I was like, okay, there's only 4 of them. So there's only, you know, there's a finite number of combinations, and I couldn't figure out how to answer the puzzle. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just, you know, push every possible combination. But then they throw in yellow being used twice. So I went through every combination, and I was like, okay, damn, I guess I have no idea what to do here. And then, you know, later on I figured it out, but Yeah, I spent a lot of time doing that.
Appreciate this.
Anyways, once the door opens, you can come in here, and this is that sword that I was talking about earlier. The one you want to talk to Jorn about at Defender's Heart and take with you to Dresden and the Ivory Sanctum. Okay, that's cool, Random. See you in a little bit. Yeah, patches, it really threw me off. I was like, there's only 4. I can just hit the, or do every combination, and it'll only take me like 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm good. And them throwing in that second yellow really threw me off too. Let's see, and that sword, if Sela doesn't have a... Yeah, she only has a regular sword right now, so we can go ahead and throw Radiance on her that we just got. And it's not very good, but at least it's Masterwork and Cold Iron, so it'll help out with demons. Another thing I noticed that they give a lot of in this game, as I'm saying that, I'm not finding any. Ah, there we go, okay. Yeah, is potions and scrolls. Like, oh my god. If you have use magic device, you almost don't even need a caster. I mean, that's an exaggeration, of course, but you really do get a truly huge amount of scrolls and potions in this game. Hey, Woolly Ram, I don't believe so. I've not seen or heard anything about that. You know, I've not heard anybody talk about it, and I've not seen it myself, so I would think probably not. I'm sure I would have at least heard about it, you know, in the last 6 months since I've really been spending a huge amount of time on the game. What there is Finian the talking weapon, who can change into any weapon. Yeah, so you do have that. And actually that helps also with what we were talking about before, the issue with keeping like up-to-date weapons. Or rarer weapon types, you know. With him, you can pretty much always have at least one, you know, decent weapon of a weapon type. Did I buy any? Oh, I think I skipped that last night because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Whenever you are in the Neathholm, the village of the mongrels, while you're there, at least if you're playing on higher difficulties, be sure that you get some cold iron ammunition for either Lan or Winduog, whichever one you keep in your party. You know, so that way you can actually deal damage to demons. Otherwise, your ranged fighters are going to be seriously hindered if you don't have that. Yeah, 3D, I don't like Darren's, yeah, I guess you can call it sass. I took it as, let's just say something much worse than sass. Like, I don't know, in my opinion, he's the most evil, or maybe not even evil, just most, yeah, I'm gonna say evil, most dangerous evil companion that you get, just because of his total disregard. I mean, even Winduog, like, at least she has like this like rough upbringing, like reason, all these things that have happened to her. He's just like, yeah, I'm pampered and I've had a perfect life and that's the way it should be, and screw everybody else because, yeah. It's, they definitely went out of their way to make him unlikable. At least to people like me. I guess not everybody finds him unlikable since you don't. Hey, good to have you back there, Random. Yeah, Woolly Ram, about the consumables. I remember, I guess it's a holdover from like NES and SNES days. But you know, starting back then, like I would always save my consumables like to the very end. And because I never knew whenever the game was going to get so ridiculously hard that I would have to use like every possible item to even have a chance to win. And so anyways, I still have a bad habit of doing that now, but I've gotten better about it, especially with this game. Like I use a lot of consumables in this game, but it's only been recently, like within the last couple of years, that I've really kind of mostly broken that habit. Yeah, Woolly Ram, I think Finian pretty much always thinks that he's a human. But there is an event in the third act that happens that kind of makes him snap out of it a little bit. And I believe that that's where you should be able to start turning him into a weapon, or using him as a weapon is after that. Well, hey Patches, I'll say this about Darren. Why is everybody calling him Daerun? Am I remembering incorrectly? But I thought it was Daeran. I don't know. It's probably me since everybody's spelling it that way. But anyways, his storyline actually is interesting. Like, even though I don't like him, he's got an interesting story. But I mean, that could be something that you want to save for your second playthrough. Especially since it doesn't make sense if you're trying not to be evil to really have somebody like that with you. Angel, demon. I guess I'm going with... Actually, I'm going to go with Angel just to see. Yeah. I think like the last 4 times I went with demon when I've done this. See if it does anything different here. I'll say I really like the angel path, like the mechanics of it and the idea of it. But as far as the feel of it, the flavor of it, like it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. For me, you know, my own personal tastes. Oh, I would say that that's not really a spoiler 3D, or at least not a huge one, because you can see that amulet. I mean, right now you can pretty much read on the amulet as soon as you get her in your party, unless you're gonna say more than that, something after that.
They didn't have a choice.
Oh,
They were forced to do
if
it.
Camellia is not the only one with a hidden alignment, then there would need to be something hiding the other characters' alignments. I don't know why they would have to hide hers, but then not have to hide somebody else's, you know, like they would have something there on the other character that has a hidden alignment so that, you know, they could justify it being hidden.
Keep telling yourself that, Len.
Shut up! You're not just a traitor, you're a monster! The young ones, they believed your stories, and you lured them to a demon and watched them eat human flesh!
Hey, Random, as far as the best mythic, I mean, I would say play whatever you want to play. I don't know, if you're talking from purely from a mechanic standpoint, then I don't know. I think it's the Azada. Now, having said that, I've only played it during beta, and transformations and stuff were not a part of beta, and a lot of the stuff in beta was bugged. And also, I've not played the Gold Dragon, the Swarm that Walks, or the Devil. But of the other 6 mythic paths, I think it's the Azada.
Who do you want at your side? The person who betrayed the demons? As if you know.
I hope we're not taking this.
If we're befriending monsters in order to fight...
Your gifts are of no use to anyone when...
Do you think I like looking at you?
Hey, I like Charisma and I want ya. I guess that's your name. Or I liked ya and I want ya. Yeah, it's probably that. It's probably not I like Charisma. Anyways, been playing this game too much, I guess. Did something happen to the Divine Bond for the Paladin? I don't know. I've really not played a Paladin because them being restricted to lawful good is just a really big restriction. I would assume that they still have that. I don't know. Let me check out Sela as soon as I get done here. And I'll look to see. It's probably just the archetype if it's not there. See if I can see it here on her character sheet. Oh no, I need to level with her, don't I? To be able to look at that. I don't know, I liked ya. I will go ahead. I'll look that up. I'll look at it. I'm gonna be back here again tomorrow at 7:30 again. So if you want to drop back by then, I'll try to have an answer for you then. One, you know, that's a lot better than what I just gave. And if you can't come by tomorrow, then I'll try to just remember to say the answer at the beginning of the live stream, so that you can check that out and just rewatch it if you can't show up. The Angel is good for melee fighters. It also makes a really good caster. Like my first character where I was trying it out in beta, I was actually an Oracle. I actually have a build for it on the channel. You know, it's a pretty long video though. You know, you got to sit through a backstory, but there are timestamps, so you can skip the backstory if you want. But that's one of the 2 build videos that I made before I started doing the Mythic Path videos. And actually, the Angel makes a really effective caster with surprisingly good damage. That's not to say that they can't be melee. Of course, they're good in melee too. They're a really strong path. I would say of the 6 paths, I would probably rank Angel 3rd in strength. I don't know if the if the trickster, if they have everything working correctly as described, then maybe I would rank Angel 4th. But it's definitely not weak. And it's good for either melee or caster. Hey, Matty Ice, the that's a cool name. I don't know. I kind of follow football pretty closely too, and that's what it reminds me of. Anyways, that's probably maybe not why your name is that, but anyways, the most serious bugs I've found in the game is crashing on loading screens, and I'm serious. This only happened to me one time before Act 3. I only had one crash before Act 3, and once I got to Act 3, in the opening scenes of Act 3, I had 2 crashes. And probably somewhere like 5 to 10% of the time since I've gotten to Act 3, the game will crash on a loading screen. And even when it doesn't crash, because I've been playing in window mode, so I can swap in and out of the game to record videos and whatever else. So I can see at the top of the window, because I'm in window mode, you know, not responding will pop up for a few seconds, and then it'll go away and it'll load. So just once you get to Act 3, to be safe, hopefully they get a patch out to fix it, but to be safe, make sure that you save frequently, because yeah, there's, you know, a good chance that you're going to crash whenever you load at that point. You know, which definitely gets annoying, but oh well. Hopefully it'll be fixed soon. Hey, yeah, 3D, I'm right there with you. The Lich and the Aeon have by far the best stories for the 6 base mythic paths. I can't speak on the Devil or the Swarm that Walks or the Gold Dragon, but you get those so late. I can't imagine that the story for those could be very good, but I don't actually know. But yeah, the Lich and the Aeon, from a role-playing and story perspective, are definitely by far the 2 best of the 6 base mythic path choices. I would say, well, I don't know. The Aeon makes a strong melee fighter, but I don't know. I found them to be kind of lacking as a caster, and probably still not as strong overall as like the Lich or Azada or Trickster. Maybe not even as strong as the Angel. At least that's how I felt about it whenever I was playtesting it in the beta. Sorry, I'm just taking a second to kind of catch up in the chat real quick, because I can see that I've fallen pretty far behind. You can make a lot. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? Yeah, not a very good impression, but yeah, I remember that from whenever I was about 10 or 11 years old. And Keenan and Kel. Yeah. Anyways, let me get on with this here. And yeah, 3 are... Is that who said? Or... I'm sorry, random. I agree that a good story and good character development can definitely make up for a lot of issues that a game has. And this game's definitely got a bit of bugginess to it, which is unfortunate. And the graphics aren't the greatest. I do like all of the customization options. That's really cool. But I think the strongest thing about the game is its characters, you know, companion characters, and its story. I think even more so than the customization.
By the goddess, Nevi, I'd almost lost all hope.
Yeah, 3D's right about that. I mean, the overarching story is like the story in very, very, very general terms is the same, or maybe not the same, but very similar, you know, regardless of which mythic path you're on. But the specifics and the details of the story, you know, do diverge quite a bit. And I would assume that they diverge even more once you get to the end to, you know, Acts 5 and 6, which I've not actually played yet. But hopefully I'll be living through all of that glory sometime tomorrow afternoon. I hope to be there by then for sure.
And thank you for getting Anevia out of there.
Whenever you talk to Irabeth, you don't have to do it here. You can do it whenever you wake up in the Defender's Heart Tavern. But be sure that you give her the orders or the dispatch that you got about the cultists. Be sure to choose that talking point. Because it does open up Estrid Tower, which is a good way to go and get some, you know, pretty good gear for a level 3 character. You can get that straight away and then have some better gear for your questing around Canabras.
Thank you, Knight. Until we no longer have the strength to hold a weapon, but most people...
Come on, living legend?
I see that you had a...
Sorry, I hope nobody actually wants to listen to all of this dialogue, because I'm just kind of skipping it.
That's right. Fighting spirit is the...
Hey, Matty Ice, yeah, this game is definitely awesome. I've loved it since I heard about it too, because I really liked Kingmaker. There were just flaws, and whenever I heard about this game, I was like, yes, they're going to make Kingmaker except better. And that's kind of what it is. Kingmaker except way, 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 way better. Almost all of the flaws fixed. You know, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, I've played the beta for Baldur's Gate 3 too. I think I actually have a video or two on the channel about that as well. And it's very early in beta, so things can definitely get better. But I like this game a lot more than Baldur's Gate 3. The graphics are there, and the story at least has potential. You know, there's not enough available in the beta to really see a huge amount of the story. You know, the story's definitely got potential, and the graphics are amazing, but the characters just are not that interesting yet. It's beta. And the character development and leveling and everything like that, that is very, very lackluster. I hope that they make that a lot more robust and just way better than what it is right now, because I was severely disappointed in that. But again, you know, still pretty, I guess maybe like middling ways through the beta now. But it was fairly early whenever I played it.
Not this time.
Oh, right now I'm on normal difficulty. Like, I'm kind of not even paying attention, you know, to what I'm doing. Like, I'm just
This time.
kind of letting the game, you know, auto resolve the fights and whatever else while I'm trying to, you know, read chat and answer questions and everything. So it's just on normal difficulty. Whenever I play like myself, I like to play core difficulty, because to me core difficulty is difficult enough to, you know, be challenging and present a very real threat of, you know, wiping, dying, losing, whatever you want to call it. But it's not so extremely difficult that you have to do everything, you know, like perfect or very near to perfect, or you'll lose the battle. Like that, I don't know, whenever you get to like unfair difficulty, to me that's just way more of a chore than it is anywhere near to being fun.
So this is how it feels.
Hey, Wooly Ram. Yeah, Larian, I actually did like Divinity Original Sin. I gotta say, I like the combat and the character building in the first one better, but I actually did like the story in the second one better. Like I enjoyed that. But I gotta say, that's the only game that Larian's put out that I've played that I actually liked, and I was hoping that they would at least try to do Baldur's 3 in some type of similar way or something. But I don't know. It seems like they're going like way different, which it's based on D&D and everything, so I guess it makes sense to go different, but I don't know. I definitely don't like what they're doing with it so far. But you know, it's still kind of early in beta or whatever, so hopefully it gets a lot better. Yeah, Random, what are you struggling with? I mean, you're just struggling with combat? Are you struggling with dying too fast? I don't know. What are you struggling with? Because the biggest tips I can give you, like for combat, is to make sure that you take as, like, you have all of the different buff spells that you can. Like, make sure that you have all of those, you know, so like bless and heroism, you know, and aid, and pretty much, you know, all of the buff spells. Haste, you know, your protection from energies, your energy immunities, all of that kind of stuff. And pretty much the protection from energy, protection from arrows, stuff like that, you don't have to have on all the time. But like bless, if you're going into combat, you should definitely have that on. You should have prayer handy to use, you know, in combat. You know, use haste, not on every battle, of course, but, you know, certainly on every difficult battle. you know, use haste. And basically you just want to keep your party fully buffed and make sure that you have a nice mix of melee and ranged units, or, you know, casters count as ranged units, and enough casters for to be able to cast all of the buffs that your party needs. And also use spells like Create Pit, like you get Nenio, and she's extremely helpful, especially in the siege at Defender's Heart. Like, there's no way I ever would have finished that battle without her. Using her Create Pit spell, you know, really slows things down in that battle and gives you an advantage so that you can fight the enemies, you know, just a few at a time whenever they start overwhelming you. You know, so definitely make use of your AoE effects like Grease and the various Create Pit spells. Those are extremely effective. I like to use those. Hey 3D, the only way to lower corruption that I'm aware of or that I've heard of is by returning to a place that has been sanctified or blessed, you know, to sleep at. So while you're in Canabras, that place is the Defender's Heart. Whenever once you leave Canabras and you're on the world map, then that place will be your camp, your army's camp. And then once you have Dresden, that place will be Dresden. And once you start building forts, you can actually build, I think they're called sanctuaries, inside of each fort, and that will allow you to rest at the forts to remove corruption. Like, every glaive in this game is a masterwork glaive, so you want to make sure that you, like, always grab the glaives, because they're pretty much always worth it. Most of the other weapons and stuff, at least early on though, are like trash weapons. I want to say the scimitars too, I think, are, at least early on, are usually masterwork, so worth the money. What do you... Yeah, no problem, random. I mean, if you need more than that, I can provide more than that, but you want to make sure that you have as many buffs as you can, and that you keep them active, and that you use your crowd control spells like Create Pit and Grease, you know, to take enemies out of the fight until you've dealt with other enemies. And I mean, really, those are the two best pieces of advice I can give you for combat. You know, different battlefields, sometimes there'll be like logs you can push down on top of enemies to kill them. You know, sometimes you can use the environment to, like, you can bottleneck them into a certain place, and then you can put grease on that bottlenecked place so that they all are, you know, half of them will slip and fall while they're going through that area to get to you. And sometimes, especially in random encounters, there's not much you can do. Like, most random encounters, you actually start surrounded or half surrounded anyways, and those can get kind of dicey sometimes. You know, but just keep your gear up, keep your buffs on, and use your crowd control spells as, you know, if the fight is difficult. And that's really the best advice that I got. I'll say this: once you start getting levels put into your mythic path, mythic ranks, then it does get easier once you can start getting those abilities, at least for a while. I think probably once you start getting towards the end, the difficulty might ramp up again, but once you start getting mythic ranks, the difficulty definitely lowers a bit, at least when you're playing on core difficulty. Oh yeah, that's a good point there, Woolly Ram. I didn't say that, but yeah, you can use summon to trigger them, or, you know, you can even use a ranged attack. I usually have ranged, well, not always, but I'll usually have at least a ranged weapon on one melee person so they can kind of draw fire without getting
She's one of the deadliest creatures in
the other ranged attackers, you know, up there by you. Also, it helps having like composite bows on your tank and whatever else like that, because sometimes you'll get stuck in a web or something, and at least then you have a chance to do something. But yeah, Woolly Ram, that's good advice too. You know, aggro the enemies, and because there are a lot of doors and hallways, you can use that to your advantage. You know, put your grease down, put your tanks up in front, and just watch them fall in the grease. And then they'll stop at your tanks, and if your tank's on the edge of the grease or the pit or whatever, then every single round they have a chance to fall. You know, so yeah, that's a good point.
That way? I'll beat you.
No, Stunt.
I'll kill you!
I actually like the stories that they have between Monago and Staunton Vane as well. I don't want to give it away because that story does go on for quite a while, but it's you know, it's interesting what happened to Staunton and how she was involved with it and everything. You know, you can almost feel bad for the guy. Well, you can feel bad for the guy, but it's hard to hate on the people that are hating on him, considering what happened because of him. But yeah, I do like his story. It's a good little add to the game.
The mongrel did it.
No, that's fine, Random. That's why I'm here. I mean, the whole point of this, like, I'm mostly just playing the game so that you aren't looking at a black screen or just a picture of my face or whatever. You know, like, this isn't really so much to see me play the game. It's much more to answer questions. You know, so ask any and all questions that you have. I mean, blind fight is good, but I wouldn't like prioritize it. Like, blind fight's the kind of thing that you want to take later on once you've completed your build and you're just like, you know, like you have everything that's essential to your build, and then you take blind fight, you know, for the instances that you run into stealth enemies or invisible enemies and whatnot. Or, you know, if you get blinded or whatever the case may be where you need it.
Kiss me on my dainty hoof.
You've crossed the wrong mountain.
And as far as what feats I actually recommend, like it really does just depend on your build. I mean, pretty much any spellcaster should be getting things like spell focus and greater spell focus, you know, spell penetration. I personally don't like using a lot of meta magic, but depending on what type of caster I'm using and what build I'm using, you know, I will pick up like 1 or 2 meta magic feats like you know, maximize or empower. You know, for most of your other martial classes, you'll want to pick your weapon focuses and greater weapon focuses for whatever weapons you're using. You know, two-handed weapon fighting if you're dual wielding. Yeah, stuff like that. It really just depends on what you're going for with your build. I'll say this, if you're playing on high difficulties, like core is actually high enough that I also suggest picking up at least like whatever saving throw you're weakest in, like pick up, you know, a feat for that to kind of help improve that. And if you're playing on like hard or unfair, you'll probably want to pick up all of those, because the most difficult thing about hard and unfair, besides getting, you know, one-shotted or two-shotted by, you know, most things, is that especially once you start getting towards the end of the game, there's just so many death effects and so many high damage spells that if you fail your saves against those kind of spells, like it'll just be auto death for like your whole party or half your party or whatever. So definitely, if you're playing on higher difficulties, give more weight to having the saving throw feats.
We couldn't stand up to the demoness. Her spells were too strong. Demons have been
Here, you want to tell her about the dispatch for the Tower of Estrid, because that is the first place that I suggest you go whenever you leave this this inn.
They're going to desecrate the ward stone and blow up the whole barrier around the world wound. The ward stone. First of all, Prelate, there's another problem. After the attack, the demons began to gather their forces at the Grey Garrison.
Yeah, no problem, Random. I mean, if you were to give me like a specific build or something like that, I mean, I'm not a build expert. I'm not trying to say that I am. I'm sure that there are people that know more about it than I do. But I mean, I know enough that I could give you some good advice or give you the basics for what you want to go for. I may not know the exact math to know why this feat is, you know, 10% better than that feat, so you should take it instead, even though they both seem like they're good. But yeah.
Impossible to confirm anything for sure. May the goddess help you. Yes, one more thing. If you're in the area, check out this address.
All right, and whenever you're here, at Defender's Heart, just talk to everybody, because you can get a lot of, you know, different quests and things. Like, I don't know, there's got to be at least 7 or 8 quests that you can get here right off the bat. I mean, I think that's already 3 that we just picked up right now. And talk to him and hear his story. Like I said, it's an interesting story. And every time you ask her about her amulet, she kind of clams up. Horgus Worm, he'll give you a quest to go and save his house. Also, be sure that you talk to him, even if you don't want to help him with this quest, to pick up whatever gold you may be owed by him for the quest that you get from him in Neathholm. I mean, I don't know what type of build you're going for with your cleric, but personally, as a cleric, I usually play more for casting and like defense. So things like weapon focus, greater weapon focus, I will prioritize for later down the line. And, you know, earlier on, I'll get things like spell focus, greater spell focus, you know, spell penetration, stuff to improve my magic use. You know, if you're trying to be a frontline fighter, then I would prioritize. Yeah, I mean, weapon focus, if you're trying to be in the thick of things fighting, weapon focus is good, but I would probably prioritize the, like, spell focus and things first. And also, since you're a cleric, you should be able to pick up a ton of good buffs to be able to keep your entire party, you know, fully buffed with... I mean, you don't get every buff, but you get enough that if you're using them all, you know, most battles shouldn't be too difficult. And yeah, blind fight, I would definitely save for much, much later. I mean, there actually are some stealth and invisible creatures earlier, like the Babao demons. You'll run into a lot of those, and a lot of times they are stealth. But I don't know. I just feel like it's better in the beginning to get the core feats for your build instead of getting the extra things. Yeah, that's how I feel. And what I would suggest doing. Okay, so for this puzzle here, I don't know, maybe all of you have seen the video that I put out on it. I'm actually trying to remember now. I think it's these two down. So this one needs to be down. Yeah, this one starts in the down position, so we don't have to touch that. And then this one right here needs to be up. So that means you activate this one, and you leave this one over here alone. And then you take the shield off of the wall, you push the pressure plate, and the secret door will open up over here. And we gotta watch Woljif's shadow too. But anyways, the secret door will open up over here. And it's actually pretty nice. You get a headband of alluring charisma and stat boosts, like gear that give your ability scores, you know, bonuses to ability scores, are few and far between here while you're still in Canabras. So to get one this early is pretty nice. And it's easy enough to do, so I definitely recommend doing that. Where was that? Yeah, headband of alluring charisma +2. I haven't even really been paying attention to gear because we've been talking, but I guess I can go ahead and put this on. Whoever needs it. Oh, random, as a cleric, you shouldn't have to choose your spells. As a cleric, you should be getting all of the spells available to your class at each spell level. And then you just have to slot, you know, what spells you want to use for the day. And you want to slot buff spells, yes. And I mean, if you only want to slot buff spells, like if you want your cleric to do nothing but buff, and you want your other spellcasters to take care of, you know, damage, crowd control effects, stuff like that, then you're right. You don't actually need spell focus then. But the thing is, later on, you're going to have so many spell slots, especially if you take the abundant casting feats, that your buffs are going to last so much longer that you don't have to reapply them that much, that later on, you will have extra spell slots for other spells besides buffs. And whenever you get to that point, then you know, having the spell focuses can help. And also, if you want to split up the buffing duties amongst your different casters now, then you can still cast spells now. But if you do want to do just all of the buffs with your cleric, then I could see you waiting until later to take the spell focuses. Like that's fair. If you want to do it that way, I don't see anything wrong with that. Whenever I play a cleric, like, I usually use them to buff, and I use them to cast enchantment spells to crowd control. And I don't really use them on the front lines very much. You know, I might use them to off-tank something that slips into the back or something like that if I have to. Although, now that I come to think about it, I usually play an Ecleus Thurge or... Oh, what is it? The Herald Caller whenever I play a cleric. And I don't think either one of those has the same martial proficiencies as normal clerics.
Hey, Chief! Ooh, hey, gorgeous.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out.
Yeah, spell focus enchantment. You, as a cleric, you should get a lot of enchantment spells. And, you know, enchantment spells, the early ones that you get, like at level 1, okay, those are crap. But, you know, once you get past those, you know, you'll start getting more. I want to say maybe at spell level 3, you actually start getting some that are pretty decent. Actually, even at level 1, I think you get command, which, you know, can be half decent. But anyways, yeah, enchantment spells, whenever I play a cleric, those are the offensive spells that I usually use. You know, the crowd control spells that I use, just because a cleric gets a lot of them, and they're effective if you get the spell focus, the greater spell focus. In this game, you can also get mythic spell focus,
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum?
and other various ways, abundant casting to increase the number of spells that you can cast. Yeah, spell penetration, mythic spell penetration. Anyways, all of those things. There's a lot of ways that you can improve it so that your enchantment spells are very effective. Here, if you talk to Woljif, you can get him on your... you can get him to join your party. And if you just talk to him, I think it's, what do you want from me?
Don't you listen to him, Chief.
And then you say you can't help him while he's chained up there.
You know, Irabeth?
And then you agree to talk to Irabeth about a situation. And I actually like Woljif. He's an interesting character, kind of lighthearted and fun and whatever. He's not the most trustworthy character or companion, but he's more trustworthy than some of the other companions, in my opinion. And he's actually very, very helpful in the beginning, especially right now while you only have 4 members of your party. And anyways, you just come up here and talk to Irabeth after you agree to talk to Irabeth. And choose the first option, and she'll immediately say, okay, take him. As long as we're talking to her, we may as well cycle through all of the dialogue choices. Yeah, Ninio's interesting. I mean, at first, until I learned more about the other characters, like got further along in their storylines and things, she was my favorite. I definitely like her personality. You know, it's amusing. It's entertaining. I'm not sure though. I haven't seen like any romance options for her, and given how much she is into science, I would imagine that she just doesn't have time for that kind of thing. But yeah, actually playing the Aeon, there's a lot of kind of like physics references and whatnot, especially in its spells. And I'm kind of a nerd for that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Whenever it started getting into that stuff. If you talk to this Indara, you can get a Claw of Jistka, which is actually a pretty good flaming sword. You know, having a flaming sword at this point is pretty awesome. And I probably should have said that beforehand, so that you could have paid attention to what I was choosing. But anyways, yeah, if you talk to her and give the correct answers, you can get the Claw of Jistka flaming sword, which is really effective for being this early in the game. Oh, Random, I gotta say, I'm sure you know a lot more about science than I do. Everything that I know about physics is pretty much from watching PBS and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I did read a brief history of time and a briefer history of time. But I'm sure you've got more of an education on it than what I do. But I just, whenever I meant I was a nerd about it, like that kind of stuff like really like grabs my interest like greatly. But I don't have a formal education with it, as you seem to have. Okay, so after you talk to Irabeth, you can come back here. If you talk to this guy right here and you pass like a very high world knowledge, or yeah, world knowledge check or knowledge world check, you can get some interesting information about an elf that he's hunting that is actually relevant to the story later on when you're not really thinking about it. So you can try your hand at that if you want. And once we get Woljif on our party, we'll be ready to leave here. And I'm going to be going pretty soon. I just mostly wanted to include in this video going to the Tower of Estrid, because I definitely recommend that as the very first place that you go once you leave Defender's Heart. And without Woljif, it's probably not possible, or at least extremely difficult, to go there and be successful. But with Woljif, it's pretty easy to go there and successfully complete it immediately and get some, you know, pretty good gear from it. Pretty good considering the level that we're at anyways. I guess I should do the levels for all the characters, huh? Yeah, Random, I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, then we probably could, because I definitely enjoy that kind of stuff, you know. Yeah, I remember whenever I found PBS's Space Time, they were already on, like, I don't know, episode 150 or something like that. And, I don't know, in, like, 3 days' time, I'd watched all 150 or 153 or whatever episode they were on. It was a lot. It was, like, in the 150s. And I just like binge watched them like some like Game of Thrones on Netflix or something. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that series. Or I haven't watched it because I've been concentrating so much on this. I haven't actually watched it in a while. But yeah, definitely interesting stuff. Oh, we forgot to sell, didn't we? Okay, let's head over here. Oh, that does give me the chance to remind you, though, to talk to Jorn Vane. and tell him about the Radiance sword that we picked up earlier. Right here, show Radiance to Jorn, and he'll agree to make a scabbard for you. And I know I already said this like 4 times in the stream, but be sure that you take the sword with you when you assault Dresden, because you can at that time obtain the scabbard, and that will upgrade the sword to a +2 longsword, and then take it with you again to the Ivory Sanctum. And in there you will be able to have the sword upgraded to a +4 sword that I think it gives you like spell resistance 23, and it does something else too. But there should be an evil or a good option, and obviously if you choose the good option when you have the chance to upgrade it there, then you'll get like a positive holy damage or aura or something. I don't remember what it is exactly. And if you choose the evil one, you'll basically get the opposing like unholy counterpart to that. But be sure that you take it with you to Dresden and Ivory Sanctum, and be sure that you talk to him here and now. And while I was thinking about all that, I didn't sell again, did I? Yeah, Woolly Ram. Woljif is actually really effective. Like, he's got high damage, and his spells are extremely helpful, especially in the early game, like right now. Very, very, very helpful. You know, later on, you get other characters that can do it, so you don't really need him for that. But especially here in the beginning, I highly recommend using him, and he stays powerful, you know, pretty much throughout. Or at least all the way through Act 4. I've not played him past there. Okay, there. Now that we sold everything, we can go ahead and get out of here. And we're going to go to the Tower of Estrid, and I'm just going to basically show how to get this good gear pretty quick, or this early on. You know, we just turned level 3 while we're in the tavern, and we're going to go and get this gear that's kind of, you know, on par with stuff you wouldn't have been able to get in Kingmaker until you're like maybe like level 5 or something, so it's pretty good. Yeah, random. Whenever you dispel something, it should go by the spell's DC. So yeah, if it has a higher DC, then it's harder to dispel. But I don't know. Typically you just don't run up to that many run into that many dispel effects. I mean, there will be parts here and there where that's a concern, but I mean, I haven't played the game all the way through because it just came out. So I guess it's possible that you could face a lot of dispels after Act 4. But generally speaking, it's probably not going to be like a constant issue. And I prefer to, you know, build for, you know, what's going to be an issue most of the time, and not for something that's going to help me in, like, you know, 3% of encounters or whatever it is. So anyways, yeah, I guess that's a long way of to just kind of say that I don't use spell focus for you know, things like abjuration or divination, you know, stuff like that. If you did it, it's probably mostly wasted. I mean, it's not completely a waste. There will be some instances in which it helps. You know, it may even be possible there are some abjurations that give you abilities. Like, what is it? Fire Belly. I believe that's an abjuration, and it gives you an ability to breathe fire. I think there are other ones later on that also give you abilities. Maybe it will increase the DC of those abilities too. I've never really checked on that because I don't typically use those. And I don't think that it would work that way, but possibly it could. But otherwise, I mean, mostly you're just having a little better defense against dispel effects. Hey there, Jurgen. Or is it? It's probably Jurgen, huh? Anyways, does Crane style work as intended with defensive fighting? The armor class figures. Well, Jurgen, I mean, I haven't checked it out. I haven't tested Crane style yet since the game launched. I'm not sure if that is working correctly or not. If you go to Owlcat's forums, they have a list of about 1,001 known bugs since the game came out 2 days ago. Maybe you can do a search on there and see if they have some mention of it. But I mean, if you've looked at it and you can see that the figures aren't correct, then I would think that it is bugged and, you know, not working correctly. If you've actually looked at it and seen that the numbers don't add up right. So, I mean, you might just, you know, do a bug report on that, just to make sure that they know about it so they can fix it. Hey, Woolly Ram, retraining, you mean so that you can, like, I guess respec your class? Because I think you can do that straight away. Like, I wish I'd talked to the guy now. Have you tried talking to Hilor yet? Because I'm pretty sure if you talk to him, I think it's an option that says something like, me and my companions need intensive training or need better training or something like that whenever you talk to Hilor. Well, Random, I was trying to think of some common German word that everybody would know, and I was going to say that as my one word, but I can't think of one. So that idea is out the window. You've got me on the German-speaking front for sure. Yeah, Woolly Ram, I've read a lot of stories of, you know, programmers describing the job as, you know, torturous, you know, terrible, you know, incredibly long hours for incredibly bad pay, you know, nerve-wracking. I'm sure y'all have heard of the stories in the news lately, or maybe not lately, but like a couple months back with Blizzard and its employees and the kind of hours they had to work and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure that being a programmer for a video game sucks very, very badly. But then I guess if it's kind of like what you love to do or whatever, maybe it's not as bad, maybe. Yeah, sorry, Jurgen. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer, you know, for you than that, but I've just not had a chance to look at it. You know, I'm pretty much making a beeline for the end of the game as quick as I can, and just taking these little breaks for these question and answer sessions to try to help people out. But otherwise, I'm just trying to get to the end of the game as quick as possible, so I can start putting out some videos on the Swarm and Golden Dragon and Devil and, you know, that kind of stuff, because that seems to be what most people are looking for or having questions about at this point. Okay, so whenever we show up here and you come in to the tower, you know, depending on what choices you've made up to that point, those spirits that we saw in the beginning, or they're actually memories, not spirits. But anyways, they will either help or hinder you depending on your choices. And then you can come up here, and Greybor basically tells us that that he will, or that he has a contract to kill one of the demon leaders out there. And he doesn't suggest that we try to fight them, but if we want to, he'll kill that demon leader and then he'll leave. So that's going, him killing that demon leader takes out one demon. Okay, and then if we can pass this DC check here, then we can take out a few more, which mobility 19 is not easy, but that's why I said to bring Woljif, because he has a nice agility, or mobility, I mean. So you got a much better chance of making it across there with him than, you know, you otherwise would. And then right here, we need this athletics check. Do not stand in front of this log. It will insta-kill your party. The first time I came in here, I killed the enemies that were down there. Then I came up here and touched the hand on the log, you know, coming from the circle down here, and I killed my entire party. Wiped myself. So yeah, just fair warning there, don't do that. It's not fun. Alright, so anyways, we can push this. And you see doing that kills 3, and then Greybor comes down here and kills a 4th. So you know that greatly increases our odds of success here. You know, also turning on turn-based mode at this point is a good idea, just because it gives you a little bit more control and it gives you time to cast a spell. You can cast Grease here. Without turn-based mode on, all the enemies would run by this point before you could cast the spell. But with it being on turn-based mode, you can cast the Grease spell, and then all of the enemies have to run through it. Ow, that kind of hurt. And as they are running through it, they'll fall down. And then you can just kind of, you know, fight the enemies. Shouldn't be too difficult if you use the log here and use the grease spell.
Endure this.
Hey, Random, it's really cool to hear you say that. You know, I'm trying to help out people here, you know, and I'm glad that I could help you out. And it's always great to get another subscriber, you know, and great to get some support for the channel. You know, trying to do the best that I can here to help as many of you out as I can. And I'm glad that doing this has helped you. So that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Jurgen, I like the Slayer actually. They're a good solid class. I especially like the Strength Slayer going sword and board. Like, I feel like that's a really good combination that I really like. And if you don't like the number of skills that you're getting, like you want more skill points, skill ranks, then consider taking, you know, half orc or, you know, being a human, and you can pick up more skill points that way. You know, it's something to think about. I'm going to move Sela up here so that way these enemies will start stopping in the grease. And they'll have more chances to fall down. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier for how to do the combat. You know, use your tanks to keep them in the grease so that way they keep falling down, so that way you can fight them just a few at a time.
Cover me, all right?
And yeah, Woljif is an absolute beast at this level. Just his damage is way better than almost everybody else's. I was about to drink a potion, but yeah, I'm a demp here. So let's drink that.
Make every strike count.
Go for their heart! Into the fray!
Alright, and if you're playing like on core difficulty or something, this fight will be a little bit harder than this, but you can see all the enemies that we killed beforehand and all the enemies that have gotten trapped by this grease. It's still very doable. I've done it several times on core difficulty. Yeah, so don't worry about that if you were thinking that. And then you can pretty much just kill them as they come to you one at a time.
Without risk!
Stab you or zap you? Why not both?
I was just thinking, his dexterity's high enough. Surely he won't slip on his own grease spell. But that's exactly what happened. Or actually, I guess his mobility. Well, Jurgen, just, you know, use your companions for the other skills. If you really, 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 really want more skills, then dump your charisma and your wisdom. You know, just dump those and add those stats to your intellect. Like if it's like super, super important, do that. Also, you can pick up these skill focus feats. You know, if you want more skills, you can spread out your skill points and use skill focus feats to get your feats up higher, or the ranks, the bonuses that you have to your skills up higher, is what I meant to say.
I'll cut you
So, you know, there's some different things you can do if it's really like that super important to you. But, you know, for the most part, having 3 skill points is usually enough. And, you know, like having 5 is like definitely plenty. That's what I have now with my Still Blood Rager, is 5 skill points. And that's definitely more than enough, because you have 6 party members, or 5 other party members that you can use for the other skills. And pretty much anything that's, you know, int-based will get a lot of skills. And yeah, the Bard and the Scald both get a lot of skills. The Alchemist should get quite a few. I don't know, I've not messed around with the Inquisitor too much, but yeah, I mean, if you say that they do, then I could definitely believe that. And anyways, even though this is a fight that Greybore and Irabeth, you know, warn you about, like, it's too tough, don't do it, we don't want you getting hurt, we don't want you dying, blah, blah, whatever. If you do it in this way that I just showed you, it's very, very doable at core difficulty or lower. I've not tried it on hard or unfair, but probably you could make it work on those difficulties. You might just need to reload a couple of times. Alright, and then from that, we should get a magic mace. I believe is like it's just like a +1 mace that does 3 extra fire damage, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Yeah, heavy mace of fire. +1 mace that does 3 extra fire damage. Alright, let's hurry up and get finish this up, because I'm gonna have to go here pretty soon. This is the Tower of Estrad. If you back up the stream just a little bit, you can see where it's at on the map, but this is the first place that I suggest going whenever you leave Defender's Heart. If you pick up Woljif in the basement of Defender's Heart, and then you come here straight away, I mean, you've just barely hit level 3, and you can get, you know, a lot of good magical equipment here. We got that mace, and I think there's going to be 3 or 4 more pieces of, you know, good solid magical equipment in here for us to pick up. And if you do it the way that I just showed you, as far as that fight goes, that's the only fight. And as long as you do that fight the way that I just showed, it's not that difficult. And this guy is, I don't know, the epitome of stupidity, I guess. Even if, no matter what you tell him, he eats this letter. Whether you try to kill him, whether you tell him to leave, whatever it is. And actually, if you let him choke to death, I think you get nothing from the letter. But if you kill him or if you help him, then you get like a half chewed up letter that gives you some information. And then in here, we have Teldon. He's like the, I guess, curator, he would be called, of this place. Or caretaker. He's a little bit scared. He's an old man. But anyways, if you talk to him, he'll end up telling you about some stuff that the thieves wanted. And you can get some keys from him. Yeah, here we go. What are the keys for? Tell him to give me the keys, and if you pass a diplomacy or trickery check. Or with trickery, you can get the keys, and if that fails and you really want the gear, you can just kill the old man. And then we're going to tell him to go to Defender's Heart. But yeah, if all else fails, you can kill him to get the keys.
What do we have here?
And here we have all these annoying booby traps. Ooh, that I just stepped on. Good job, me.
Here. Where else would I be?
Oh, you saw, Jurgen, that we got that +1 fire mace. Here we have a kukri that I think is a +1 kukri that does 2 additional damage. I just picked it up. Why am I telling you what I think? Yeah, it's a +1 cold iron finesse wielding kukri that does 2 additional damage to undead creatures. And then here we get this composite longbow, which is probably the nicest piece of gear here. That's an entrapping longbow composite +1. And whenever it confirms a critical hit, all enemies in a 10-foot area must pass a reflex saving throw or become entangled for 1 round. All of this stuff is very handy, and you can just come here straight away, get it. And, you know, you've got some much better gear to go ahead and quest around the rest of Canabris with. I was actually trying to make a video, like, detailing all of this, but I decided that people would rather see how to unlock the Azada and Lich mythic paths. So I went with that video instead. Okay, so I believe that that's everything now. All of the magical items. So we got the kukri, the bow, the +1 fire mace, and Lady Calandra's chain shirt, which is a +2 mithril chain shirt. You know, which at this level, that's, you know, really good. And anyways, yeah. So you can come here and do that and get some nice XP. You can go back and tell Erebeth that you took care of the problem at the tower, get some nice experience, and you get 4 extra pieces of magical gear just to kind of start off your questing. Yeah, Slumber is actually pretty good if you're playing the Witch Path. Slumber is actually extremely effective. It might be the best of the curses, or at least the early curses. Definitely up there. It's what I picked on my playthrough in beta, but I wanted to try something different here. All right, yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm pretty much done here. I hope that this, video helped you out. I hope that my answering your questions, was helpful. That I helped some of you with that. Oh, you're welcome, Patches. I'm glad that that video helped you out. It's actually from the beta, but it still, pretty much applies now also. Although sometimes you do find ilks in a different place. But yeah, it should still be helpful, and I'm glad that you liked it. But yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to go put my son to bed and do some other stuff. And anyways, keep on playing, guys. I will be back. I will be back again tomorrow at 7:30, probably for a shorter period of time though. But I do want to make myself available in case y'all have more questions that you come up with while you're, playing on your playthroughs. All right. Anyways, have a good night. This has been Chris with Lore Spire. Be well, my friends.